Welcome everyone to the Community Engagement A Better Start webinar and workshop. My name is Tanya Spence. I am the People and the Leads Manager managing community engagement for Lambeth Early Action Partnership, also known as LEAP. I, along with my LEAP colleague, Davina Belcher, Co-Create Partnerships Manager, will be facilitating the session today. Over the next 30 minutes, you'll hear from us and other ABS colleagues, and we'll do our best to leave enough time to answer any questions you may have towards the end. Please do, and I would strongly encourage, insert within the chat functionality any questions you have for us as a collective programme or as individual sites. If we do not get a chance to answer your questions today, we'll provide some responses which will be shared out by NCB shortly after. Through our session today, ABS partners will share those changes and advancements to how we think about and approach EDI in relation to community working. We will be exploring how our learning has and continues to inform and support our commitment to equality, equity, diversity and inclusion, or EDI, ensuring that we are reaching all families, but particularly those most in need, that our families feel included, and that programmes are reflective and reach the often diverse communities we serve. As you'll hear, ABS partners serve different communities and operate across different parts of the UK. But today we come together as one to share our collective learning and those things we agree are key approaches for good EDI working. Importantly, we want to use today to emphasise that we ourselves have had to embrace change and be open to learning new ways for better reaching and supporting families within our communities. It's important to note that the cycle of learning which has resulted in us making the necessary changes to our programmes has been well supported by the National Lottery Community Fund's long-term funding Lesson Learn approach. We've had the luxury of time and support to allow a cycle of continuous listening, learning and improving, and for that we are truly grateful. So we begin our exploration in Lambeth. What a fantastic place it is, and if you don't know, I'll tell you, there are 187 museums and art galleries, and the borough boasts a rich melting pot of culture and creativity. Lambeth is home to many famous and significant people, with rock legend David Bowie, poet William Blake and activist Olive Morris, just to name a few. In Lambeth, 60% of the population describe their ethnicity as non-white British, and just over 11% of the population are estimated to identify as LGBTQI+. Lambeth is also a highly transient borough, with 21% of the population changing each year. As wonderful as Lambeth is, it does join several London boroughs experiencing above levels of poverty. The LEAP programme, like all ABS sites, has taken a collective impact approach to addressing the ways in which disadvantage across 4 particularly high need areas of Lambeth is negatively impacting on the life chances of children in the early years. As Lambeth and the targeted LEAP areas are so diverse, it's been crucial to ensure that the LEAP programme both speaks to and reflects the different cultures, communities and families who call this place home. LEAP's community engagement programme, like that of other ABS sites, aims to connect families with various local services and activities, as well as building social capacity and connecting families to each other. You can actually read a bit more about our work in Lambeth within the report link added to the chat. So given the diversity of our borough, it will perhaps be no surprise to learn that the 4 Lambeth areas, including Tulse Hill, Cold Harbour, Vassal and Stockwell, are in fact very different from each other. As part of our local evaluation work, we often reference these areas as having unique ecosystems. So what I'm going to do now is I'll pass over to Davina Belcher, who will share some key highlights and provide context around why investing in wider local partnership working has been crucial for reaching and supporting some of our families. Over to you,
Tanya. Thank you. So one of the areas that has its own unique ecosystem is Stockwell. Now, Stockwell has emerged as a central space for East African communities, with many shops and community centres and businesses set up to cater and support families of Somali, Ethiopian and Eritrean descent specifically. However, despite this, we recognise that there was a notable absence of families from East African communities in the sessions and the activities that we were running in this area. And this made us question whether the community engagement offer really was as inclusive as it could be. As a community engagement team, we are continually reflecting on and understanding where our limits are. We use various methods to help improve our understanding of who we are and who we are not seeing, and how we are meeting the community needs. And these methods include data, parent participation, our tailored engagement sessions. But we recognised that we still weren't seeing enough parents from this particular East African community. We knew we needed to make some changes, and we decided to further invest in working with community partners who were already embedded in these communities to learn more about their needs. And we began these partnerships through our Co-Create programme. Co-Create is a partnership model and a programme of seed funding, which we launched in September 2021. The programme has been a vehicle for us to develop close partnerships with a diverse range of local organisations to target our reach into those local ecosystems, engaging with communities who we recognise we were not yet reaching. Through Co-Create, we've partnered with 17 local small-scale charities and community interest groups who've developed and delivered around 250 activities co-created with parents. These initiatives have engaged over 1,000 participants from a varied range of communities, including, as we mentioned, the East African community. Through this work, we have invested in building strong partnerships with one particular local organisation, the East African Association, or EAA for short. They have been working with the Somali community in Stockwell for many years, are well established, and because of this are trusted by the community members. Being able to fund and support EAA to initiate an early years focused into their existing provision that they hadn't already been doing has been very rewarding. And indeed, through this partnership, we've been able to extend our our reach, and also to engage with more families from the East African community. However, it's actually been the opportunity we've had to learn from EAA's expertise and to further our own understanding of the challenges and barriers faced by these families. And that's been the most important thing for us, for making real changes to the way that we work and for developing our programme for the better. Although, of course, it's crucial to recognise here, before I start to share what we learned about that community, that no group or community is actually homogenous. And so, although gaining an increased understanding on a community group level is very important, it isn't necessarily reflective of the challenges and barriers of the individuals. And this is where listening to individual parents alongside this is also key. Some of the valuable insights, however, into the lived experience of the local Somali community that was shared with us by the East African Association team, and from speaking to those parents themselves, were that many of the mums felt isolated and were suffering from poor mental health. Many were single parents. Some parents had been negatively affected by their previous interactions with health and social and education settings, and how they'd been treated in the past. Many had English as an additional language, and so were unable to read any flyers or websites or information that they'd been given. Some felt a lack of confidence in whether local services were for people like them. Some families had many children, and so time and capacity were very stretched between the needs of their different age children. And there was a reluctance in wanting strangers to help them. And although they knew about the wider support available, and EAA had themselves worked really hard to signpost them to other services that they could access, they actually would rather be helped by EAA themselves, as they know and trust them. We took this learning very seriously and recognised that it was us that needed to change how we engaged with families rather than expecting families to change in order to engage with us. We recognised that we'd made some inaccurate assumptions previously and risked the inclusivity of our offer. We also took on board that for some families, we may always be second best for accessing early years support. And whilst that can be a difficult pill to swallow, it didn't mean that that offer of support needed to end there. An example of how these insights change the way that we work are the Somali Mums and Little Ones session. We trialled this session at a local children's centre, and although EAA knew over 40 mums that they regularly worked with and had signposted and promoted this session, and these mums were always asking for this type of support, nobody actually came. So, taking into account all that we'd learnt and reflecting on the insights that we'd been given, we made the change to take the session out of the children's centre and take it to where the mums and the little ones were already. They were standing on the sidelines every day of the summer holidays while their older children were taking part in EAA's summer football programme. So throughout the summer, in a gazebo at the side of the football pitch, EAA provided stay and play sessions, communication and language support, family advice and signposting to other offers for those little ones and their mums. And this is now embedded as part of EAA's summer offer. Another important part of the learning journey for us through this partnership work is that it's not just about working together with local organisations just so that we can capitalise on their already established relations with the community members we want to reach. We've had to have some really open conversations with partners about this and how we can better develop authentic, equitable relationships built on trust and mutual respect between organisations. As you can see from the quote on the screen, Hussein, the founder and director of East Africa Association, felt that as they were from and worked with a community that was seen as hard to reach, they felt that often partners wanted to work with them only as a gateway to reaching that community, rather than really valuing and investing in the actual work that they as an organisation were doing themselves with those families. Hussein felt that there was really an imbalance in power in those partnerships, as there was little mutual value or benefit, and he felt it was very one-sided. Through honest conversations such as that one, the LEAP community engagement team have developed a good understanding of the immense value of community organisations and the expertise and experience that their leaders bring to the table. And as such, we've taken the opportunity to really invest in those organisations through time, money, resources, and capacity building towards their individual missions, as well as establishing shared values and focusing on creating those truly mutually beneficial partnerships. So that's a little bit of a snapshot of some of the work that we've been doing at LEAP, but now it's a chance for us to take a short trip to the other ABS sites to further learn about their behaviour change work and their equality, diversity and inclusion approaches, and explore how these have contributed to stronger practice across the whole programme. First of all, I'm going to pass over to Hannah and Hannah from Blackpool.
Thank you, Davina. Hello, everybody. I'm Hannah Connell. I'm the External Affairs Manager at Blackpool Better Start. Now, what can we say about Blackpool? I think everyone knows Blackpool, and it's particularly known for its beautiful beaches, its iconic tower, the pleasure beach, and being one of the leading tourist hotspots for UK residents. But it's also known for its deprivation. And sadly, 8 out of 10 of the most deprived neighbourhoods in England are in Blackpool. The piece of work that I want to highlight today is a campaign that I was tasked with creating alongside our community. So in the past, we've done behaviour change campaigns around early child development, and we've probably found that they haven't had the cut through that we would have liked. And so what we wanted to do was do a real piece of co-production with our families and create something that would have that engagement that we need. We did 5 sessions with workshops with our families. And throughout that time, I think it was really important that we firstly gained the trust of our families. I think there is a sense that sometimes we can be do-gooders and we're doing things just to be seen to be done. And actually, this was not the case. We absolutely wanted to understand how we could do things better. And we could only get that by speaking to the community. We wanted to find out how they felt about past campaigns that we've done or other people have done, and also what language really has that reach and has that cut through. We went into this thinking, well, we're the experts. We are all comms specialists. We know what we're doing. And actually what we found was that we created loads of different strap lines and tested this language with families, and we were getting it wrong. What we were trying to say wasn't landing and it wasn't having the desired effect. So it's a very interesting process for us. I think, in fact, it was transformational. I would go as far as saying that, in that it challenged everything that we think about doing our comms in the future. So it's been an incredibly important piece of work for us. The takeaways for me, which I really wanted to highlight, because I think it's more of an approach. It's not just something that we use for communications. I feel like this is now an approach that I hope that the whole Blackpool Better Start partnership is using. We found that obviously we talk about parents not wanting to be judged, and that's always something that we know, but how does that actually look in practice? We know that our families are having to work extra hours to try and cover costs for the cost of living crisis. And yet we're putting out stuff constantly that's telling them they need to read more, they need to make more nutritious meals, they need to play more with their children. And really, when parents are in this world where they are short of time, is that the right message? Is that going to make them feel like they're successful as parents, or is that going to make them feel like they're failing? And that sense of judgment is really strong, that we need to try and avoid that. We also found that parents really need a campaign to be relatable. So they need to see themselves reflected. It's a really important factor that we shouldn't be using stock images. We shouldn't be necessarily using animation, because that's not how the community view themselves. So we had to recruit people from the community to be in this campaign, it has its own challenges, but it also has that authenticity that our community needs. We need all our comms, especially, but this campaign, it needs to be inclusive. So we had 2 parents in our workshops that had children with significant SEM. And what they told us was that materials that we produced in the past that talked about eye contact, serve and return, the need to meet milestones, to be school ready. When you have a child that doesn't react in a neurotypical way, those messages can have the opposite effect from what you're hoping and actually make parents disengage. So that's something that we've really got to think about in everything that we put out. And another important takeout for me was that when we did this workshop, we also ran it alongside a survey that went out, and we received responses from 120 parents, where we asked them, what do you do with your children? And what we were told was that they were doing things that were building their children's brains. They were taking them to the park, they were taking them to the supermarket. And actually, rather than always shining a light on what parents aren't doing, so reading more, making those nutritious meals, by shining a light on what they are doing, you're instilling that confidence in them, and you're making them feel that they are better parents. And I think that that's been a massive learning curve for us in terms of how we engage better with our community. And I'm very delighted that we've got Hannah with us, another Hannah, who was one of our parents. And it's great to have you here today, Hannah. I just wanted to speak to you and ask you how you felt about taking part in this.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, I loved every minute of it. I really, really enjoyed being part of the co-production work of this campaign and bringing my experience as an adoptive mum into the discussion, which I felt really, really included with. And like Hannah said before, it's about being inclusive as well. And it was great to be around a table and be part of a campaign that reminds you that there's no such thing really as a perfect parent, and what we are actually doing, we are doing good, and it's empowering parents and listening to their voices of what they are doing right and how maybe we can improve or what we could add a little bit more to, rather than just read more, do more, telling us what to do. And that come out really, really well. I think it's really important that we hear from parents of all backgrounds and experiences. I'm an adoptive mum, we had send parents, and that's how we are truly, truly inclusive. So as well as being part of the lived experience co-production team, I also run the parent and carer family forums for the family hubs. And the more diverse members we recruit and the relationships I personally build with all different members, all different parents and carers, we really truly hear their views and their circumstances in which will eventually change services for the better and build that community engagement. So I think hearing all parents' voices from whichever background is super, super important.
Thanks, Hannah. We'll now continue our tour of the Better Start sites. I will hand over to Shamel in Bradford.
Thank you for that, Hannah. Good morning to everybody. So I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Better Start Bradford. So as you can see, some statistics on there regarding our communities, which is very diverse, and the majority of our population being from within the South Asian community, many of those who have very little or no understanding of the English language. The Better Start Bradford area covers the Bradford East constituency, which includes the BD3, BD4 and BD5 postal code. So it is quite a small area of the wider Bradford district. So today I just want to talk about the success of one of our projects, which is called the Happy Early Years Fund, previously known as the Parents in the Lead, and how through co-production we've led to supporting change within the community, and also how our approach has helped build community capacity and inclusiveness. So one of our objectives was to change the way services are commissioned, delivered, and involve parents as equal partners. So that's where the idea of the HAY Fund was created. Now, what the fund allows you to do is parents apply for up to 2,500 to put their own ideas and initiatives in practice for children aged 0 to 3. So some of the examples might be cook and eat session, messy plays, stay and play, those kind of things. The project was actually launched in 2017, and since then we've actually awarded over £250,000, and that's contributed to over 150 activities within the BSB area. So how did we successfully change the behavior of the community or of parents? Well, we did this by using and following the trans-theoretical model. And I just want to briefly use one of our parents, Salma, and just describe her journey through the HAY Fund through the HAY Fund process. So the first stage is the pre-contemplation stage. So this is where the communities or the individuals may not be thinking about behavior change. They may not be interested in applying or running their own session. However, through our marketing and a soft approach from our engagement team, they are aware of the opportunity that's available. So with Salma's case, she actually attended one of our family Christmas events where she met our engagement worker. We provided her more information, and that's how her journey started with us. We move on to the contemplation stage. So that's where they're thinking about the change, but a little bit undecided. So at this stage, it's where parents or the community need that further encouragement to go ahead and to proceed. So with Salma, we supported her, we explained the importance and the benefits of doing the activity, but also how it meets both her outcomes and our outcomes. Next, we have the preparation stage. So this is where it's a bit of a change of events where the individuals or the community show their intentions to go ahead with the HAY Fund. and the belief that one can change and commit to change. So regarding Salma, it was the difference that she actually now feels like she has the capability and capacity to proceed, which previously may not have been the case. During this phase, like Salma, many of the parents, they receive a lot of support from us in regards to the application. We provide them with all the necessary information, the resources, the tools, and the skills they need in terms of supporting their delivery, but also increasing their knowledge. And finally, we have the action or the lasting change stage. So this is the stage of delivery and sustainability. This is the phase where you see all the benefits of the project that's being run, and it leads to the motivation and encouragement to want to work with others, and also how you can sustain the project, the group, but also continue the behavior change cycle. And in case of for Salma, her group actually started in 2018, and it's actually still running till today. And the reason why is we've supported her partner up with the local community centre who've seen the benefit of the mother and toddler group, and as a result, they let her use the facility for free. So it's not only mums, but we've done some great works with dads and male carers who've all benefited from this, and that just shows the impact on the whole community. What we've also been able to do through this is build strong and trustworthy relationships with our community and showcase that behavior change, emphasizing on what can be achieved given the right approach, platform, tools, and opportunity. I hope that was beneficial. Thank you for listening, and I will pass it on to Julie now.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Julie. I was a programme manager with a Better Start Southend, and I've now been seconded into City Family Community Interest Company, which is the legacy vehicle for us in Southend to continue with some of the services that have already started. So I'll start with a few statistics. Southend has recently become a city. It's by the sea and has a transient population. Also has the longest pier in the UK, which I forgot to mention earlier. Just over 40% of the children living in Southend aged under 5 are living in the 30% most deprived wards in the country. I was surprised to read that access to maternity services and obesity levels in pregnancy are statistically worse than the average for England. Southend is hearing many more languages spoken and has seen an increase in families who are waiting for their immigration status to be agreed. I'll now start talking about the project. Almost 3 years ago, we co-designed a new project now called Your Family. Parents and our partners from health, family centres and the voluntary sector met every 2 weeks for 3 months to consider the most appropriate service for local families. A Better Start champions, who all live in the most deprived wards of Southend, asked families living in their communities for the feedback on the questions that we raised in our fortnightly meetings, and this ensured as many parents' voices were heard as possible. We heard that many families moving into the area, whether permanently or temporarily, did not have local family connections. They found it challenging to find local services and activities where they could take their young children to learn and play and make connections themselves with other adults. We wondered if they were looking for a sense of community. Your Family offers signposting to families so they can find activities of interest to them. They offer learning and support workshops covering child development, antenatal classes, wellbeing sessions, etc., as well as one-to-one family support. Your Family are using interpreters, particularly in family support, but have connections with translators very, very quickly should they meet somebody in the community, and have close links with the charity who will translate particular messages to be shared across all partner social media platforms, giving wider access to information. During co-design, parents felt strongly that Your Family should not be called a service. They wanted Your Family to be a community that parents would join to help each other. Your Family is strengths-based, and as a result of parents' feedback, families are invited to join Your Family rather than be referred to as it by a service by our many partners. Many of the activities provided by your family encourage parents to support each other, bringing their lived experience as examples of what works and also what doesn't work to other parents. We heard from parents that they do not always want to speak to someone, but do want information. And this gave us the idea and opportunity to try Your Family Facebook group. At present, we're posting public health messages and getting other partner messaging out. However, we aim to extend this for parents to be able to post questions as well as answer questions posed, creating an online community too. What we've learned over time is how important it has been to have the Your Family team present at places within the community where families visit. Your Family can be found at food banks and community activities every day throughout the week. They are visible, welcoming, and building trusting relationships over time. We're reaching diverse communities, and due to the strength-based way of working, parents making contact with us, wanting additional support, who may have met any of Your Family team in the community, will already have increased confidence, know that what they want to change in their family life, and most importantly, believe they can do it. Over time, Your Family has become trusted by parents and our partners. And my takeaway for others from our journey is, where possible, go to where families are rather than expect the families to come to you. Thank you. I'll pass you over to Emma.
Thank you very much. So I'm focusing on Nottingham. So Nottingham is a diverse city, and a number of our city ward areas experience high levels of poverty, with 1 in 4 children affected by income deprivation, and this is even higher in our ABS wards. Nottingham has employed numerous strategies to improve access to diverse communities, and you can see a full report about this on our website, which I've added into the chat. So this case study is going to focus particularly on the Ideas Fund. So the Ideas Fund is a small grants fund which utilises a community-based commissioning approach to enhance and build on the strengths and assets within the community, things that are already there that we want to enhance. Since 2016, 72 individual projects have been awarded funding. The grants have been between £3,000 and £10,000 per year, and applications are evaluated through a panel of representatives from local organisations, services, and also our parent champions as well, giving parents that voice into what we fund. The funded organisations vary from some very, very small local grassroots organisations to charities and also some local service providers. It's been an opportunity for both us and for them, for us to invest in the local grassroots organisations and support them with their innovative ideas, and support building that social fabric and new community networks. We've been able to use the fund to target particular underserved communities, with some funding pots having specific themes or priorities, such as diverse communities, fathers and families during pregnancy. We've been able to respond very quickly to emerging needs, such as the COVID Ideas Fund and Cost of Living Ideas Fund. And it's been an opportunity for organisations to test out and learn from new ideas, to work with a new age range of 0 to 4 for some of them, try out new activities, build their evidence, engage more effectively with the early years system, and fail without fear while having the support from Small Steps, Big Changes. So to give you a flavour of some of our projects, we've had some very small funding pots for Cultural Stay and Play, project for Tots of Families, Arab Babies Fun and Play, a women's antenatal class for Muslim women, and a play group for deaf children. For more substantial funding, we've had Belong Nottingham, which supports refugees, asylum seekers and migrants with integration support and ESOL classes. And they wanted to test out working with new and expectant mothers, as they'd only previously worked with adults. We've had a dads group supporting fathers from the Black and ethnic minority communities. And we've also had Nottingham literacy volunteers delivering Learning to Love books. And this is they've expanded their provision to the early years for the first time, and they've got a high proportion of families with English as a second language. So challenges and limitations from this approach and learning that we've had. New and very emerging groups may not be aware of our funding and how to apply and the local systems. The variance in organisations between the very small, tiny, brand new, and then the well-established with quite well developed skills, and how we support those. The capacity of organisations tends to be limited, and it's not actually getting any easier with the current national economic climate. We've had quite a high level of input from ourselves, lots of learning and development opportunities, dedicated project support, social media support, all sorts. So as a commissioner, we've had to sort of learn to act a bit more flexibly, and be realistic and proportionate in our expectations to some of these smaller organisations for measuring outcomes and impact. So it can be challenging to assess things like the return on investment and the impact of small amounts of funding. But, you know, if you look at the impact as a whole, you can see a real difference in social value. So that's it from me. Thank you. I'll hand you back to Tanya.
Oh, thanks, Emma. Sorry about that little technical glitch. This is, as I say, real life. And we hope you enjoyed the tour of the ABS family across the UK. So now just to share some of our collective learning, despite working in different parts of the UK and with different communities, ABS partners collectively agree on key learning that has positively informed our EDI practice and has no doubt strengthened our community engagement offers. So some of this includes that no one has all the answers, not even us. Therefore, EDI working can be strengthened through a test and learn approach, which allows you to keep building on and improving on what you know. So from reviewing your data, creating mixed method opportunities for feedback, to taking a co-productive approach and working closely with parents and caregivers, we really do recommend that you embrace a variety of methods for improving knowledge and understanding about your community. Who isn't round the table and why? And how do you change that? It's also crucial that you hold yourself accountable to clear EDI values and measures where possible. And finally, recognising the limits of your community work and investing in local community partnerships will no doubtly support your EDI practice. I think just before we land on the call to action, Elliot Ray did a fantastic job actually of summarising this at the very beginning. He said, you know, if we always do what we've always done, we will never change. And I think this really aligns with our call to action in relation to community working. And just a reminder that good EDI practice is at the foundation of community engagement work. Therefore, we really urge you all to dedicate time to honestly and routinely reviewing and appraising your EDI practice. Okay, so that's it from me. We've got 10 minutes now for those who can stay on. And this is some time that's designated really for Q&A. I'm going to just hand over to Georgia May. Do we have any questions?
Hiya. Yeah, we've got one question that's been posted in the chat and then a couple of others. So Beth asked, do you offer support to people applying, i.e. a parent who has a good idea but has not run a project / organisation before, so needs support with policies and risk assessments, etc. So I think that might have been aimed towards Shamal possibly. So if you want to come in and answer that one, that would be great.
I think the ideas fund was, is it Emma's?
Oh, Emma, sorry.
I can come in on that one. Yes, so in the past we have had parents and people with just the very beginnings of an idea come and talk to us. So yes, we have been able to support that with giving examples of governance and policies to support them with that. So we have seen some organisations grow from just sort of that one person, that one idea, into a whole organisation. Yes, we've also, we've also sort of support if there's someone with an idea can they then be hosted by another organisation to run that idea? So we sort of do look at options with parents and some, you know, anyone who would like to take up the funding.
Amazing. Perfect. And then Davina, did you want to speak on this one as well?
Yeah, just to say about the Co-Create Fund, very similar, and I know Shamel also was talking about this, offering this support, as well as Emma, and just to reflect on the Co-Create funding that we have worked with local voluntary community partners on. It's very much a partnership, and I think that's really key. It's less a funding program and more an investment into partnering with us and inviting people to join, much like Julie was saying about joining community. And so part of that work and part of being a great partner is investing in those resources and that capacity building. And so I think that's one of the key reflections that came from people that we'd funded through the Co-Create, is that actually, yes, they valued the money, but more than that, they valued the support and the capacity building, whether that's from the application stage, promotion, development, co-creation, evaluating and monitoring, and then finding ways to sustain it, as others have talked about. We don't want it to just end there, but actually supporting either parents or organisations to find other funding or other homes for their work that they want to carry on into the future. So I think that's probably a key point for all of our funding programmes. It's a partnership, and that's key to the way that we're working through that, I think.
Amazing, thank you. And then we've got a couple of other questions. I think we'll go to Hannah first in Blackpool. As a parent, what approaches have you found effective for engaging new and diverse parents to the forums that you deliver?
Hi, yeah, so I was thrown in at the deep end on my first couple of weeks, and I listened to what they wanted, and within my role as holding panels, it was more so that they were wanting to meet more regularly than once a month. So we come up with the idea of having a coffee morning once a week over the 3 different locations, and that's still ongoing and growing to this day. It was about listening to them. They wanted direct contact because obviously with mum's baby brains, we don't remember anything, and they wanted reminders of what was going on, whether something was cancelled. So I've got a really, really ongoing WhatsApp group where I add people to and send out weekly reminders of where I am, what I'm doing, and what's up next. Food and drink is always a bonus. Everybody loves a free brew. So they come along, they get a free brew, they get to put the world to rights, and they know that it is a safe space for just them to be able to be themselves, to form those relationships. That peer-on-peer support is so, so vital and so important, especially in those early stages, to be able to grow together. And it's just about actually keeping, as a mum, our jugs full. And if we're happy and we're able to sit and have a brew, have a chat, then we do so much for the children, so much for the babies, which is so, so important, don't get me wrong, but a happy mum, a happy baby, or a happy parent. And I think as a person, I'm quite a confident person. You've got to be relatable, approachable, friendly, and I'm a mum. So I can go into the baby groups. I love babies, and I'm cooing over all the babies, having those conversations, letting them know they can drop in. And I make that, I try to be in as many places as I possibly can. I do need 10 of my mind, but it would be, it's really important, I think, of a person to be relatable. I couldn't run a football group because I know absolutely nothing about football. So it's really, really important for that engagement to have that relatability as well. And listen to what they want. Absolutely. If they didn't want a coffee morning every week, there's no point in doing them. So it's about hearing their voices about what they want and delivering.
Amazing. Thank you, Hannah. So we've just got 4 minutes left, so I will just pose our final question. The final one goes to the people from the ABS site. So how have you measured the impact of your work resulting from advancements and changes to EDI practice?
I might just quickly step in just to say, I think as we've kind of outlined within the collective learning, it's definitely been a mixture of methods, looking at the data that we're collecting, looking at the feedback that we have obtained through surveys that have been shared, also, you know, looking at what our families have been sharing with us, you know, and that, you know, taking a real kind of deep dive into qualitative elements of feedback. So I think, you know, that has definitely been something that not only have we kind of looked at to inform where there are perhaps gaps, but also how we're doing in terms of you know, improving and building on where there have been gaps. I don't know if anybody else wants to share anything at this point.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to, Tanya. I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely about looking at the data, but the data won't always tell you what you're missing. So what we've tried to do is invite everybody within Better Start to tell us what areas, where can we do better? And then you can actually form a strategy to reach that. So our last away day, we did a reverse panel where we said to people, who are we not engaging? Who are we not reaching? And then from the list of that, there was various, and this goes across professionals as well, it's the workforce as well as our families. And then we were, you know, let's work out how we can do that. And one of them was a refugee community that are now living in Blackpool. And since we had that discussion, we've now got a community connector that's going in every week and having those conversations and ensuring that they're supported and they know what's happening, that they can get involved in. So I think, yeah, while the data tells us a lot, it sometimes doesn't tell us what we need to know. You need to get that from the people who are out and about in frontline.